Every September, Apple announces a new iPhone. It has been this way for the past 15 years, and we have slowly seen that iPhone number tick up to double digits. This past year, with the iPhone 17, Apple's consistent strategy has led to the most popular iPhone lineup ever. So why, after all these years, are they about to do something, really weird? Because they are not announcing the successor to the iPhone 18. Yes, there will be no iPhone 18 in September. And that is a huge risk for a company where over 50% of their revenue is dominated by just one single product category. No, not the Mac Pro wheels, the iPhone. In fact, this year's iPhone lineup is going to be very strange all around, with Apple delaying the launch of the normal iPhone 18 and instead focusing on higher-end Pro models and an entirely new, unproven form factor that is the riskiest iPhone model they have launched since the iPhone 10. And it is no coincidence that this drastic strategy change comes just as Tim Cook, Apple's brilliant but cautious CEO, is stepping down, and the unknown hardware titan, John Ternus, is taking his turn. Ah, man, did I just make a pun? Forgive me for that. On what he can accomplish as Apple's next CEO. He will take the first steps onto that big Apple keynote stage to launch this ambitious but risky new iPhone lineup to see if he can make his own mark. Just like you can make your own mark by upgrading your iPad with the new Paperlike 3 screen protector. Because this screen protector does more than protect your iPad's display. It actually enhances it by covering it with tiny nanodots that create texture. So when your Apple Pencil comes into contact with it, it creates a small amount of friction. It gives you this slight tactile feedback that you can actually feel as your pencil glides along your iPad's display. It makes it feel like writing or drawing on high quality paper, and it gives you so much more control for neater writing, more precise drawing, and genuinely just feels like a much better experience than the normal iPad's display, which is very slippery. The Paperlike is so good it even sounds like writing on paper, which makes journaling that much more relaxing. With its new butterfly installation, it makes applying the Paperlike easy, and it even comes with an easy-to-follow video guide and included multi-purpose helper tool so anyone can get a reliable fit with proper alignment, no dust, and no air bubbles on their installation. So if you hate writing on the iPad's slippery display, upgrade to the new Paperlike 3, and thank you to Paperlike for sponsoring this video. Okay, first of all, let's talk about the iPhone Apple is launching in September, because like I said, the iPhone 18 will not be part of that. Apple is delaying that phone to be released in spring of 2027. So if you are planning on buying that new base model iPhone this year after you heard all the rave reviews about how great of a value the iPhone 17 was, well, be prepared to be disappointed. Still, the iPhone that Apple will launch is the iPhone 18 Pro. That is not changing. But the weird thing is, it will be the cheapest iPhone option at this event. Right now, that price starts at $1,100, and apparently, behind the scenes, Apple is doing everything in their power to keep it that way, because they know this is gonna be an expensive launch. But with storage shortages, memory shortages, and the increase in chip production costs due to this AI craze, even just 4 months away, it is hard to predict what the pricing on the iPhone 18 Pro will be. Either way, the iPhone lineup at its lowest will start at $1,100 this year. And that is not cheap, and that is the best case scenario. Now, overall, the iPhone 18 Pro, it's gonna look a lot like the 17 Pro. It's keeping the same overall unibody design. However, a way that Apple is going to differentiate this iPhone lineup is by changing the colors and adding another color option. So while the iPhone 18 Pro will keep the silver color, it is adding a new light blue color and a new dark cherry color, and it is also bringing back the space gray color option, which was strangely missing on the 17 Pro. Still, there is a bigger design change coming on the front of the phone with a smaller dynamic island. In practice, this won't lead to a huge gain in screen real estate, but at least it will serve as a visual distinction that something in the design has changed, which I hate to say it, but looking different does usually lead to like an increase in sales when it comes to like phone models. Like a new phone design usually sells more, which is partly why I think why the 17 Pro sold so well. The design is also rumored to be slightly thicker. Yes, the 18 Pro is not hitting the gym. It's gonna be 8.8 millimeters thick, which is a negative for me because I feel like these phones just keep getting thicker and thicker year after year, and we're like regressing back in phone design. Although that will come with a benefit, because one of the features I think people are really underestimating this year with the iPhone 18 Pro, and especially on the Pro Max, is going to be the battery life, because the thicker design will allow for an even bigger physical battery, and that will also come paired with Apple's new C2 cellular modem. That is important because this is the first time Apple is putting their custom 5G modems into their Pro phones. And so far, we have seen some incredible efficiency gains for any iPhone that Apple has put their own modems into. So a combination of a more efficient cellular chip and that bigger battery is going to lead to the best battery performance we have seen in any iPhone, especially with that bigger Pro Max model. And I'm not even counting the new A20 Pro chip, which will have a new, more efficient 2nm process. So all around, this phone is not only going to be powerful, but it's going to be insanely efficient as well. Still, the hallmark feature for the iPhone 18 Pro, like always, will be the new camera features. And Apple is doing something strange that they've never done in an iPhone before, because the main camera on the iPhone 18 Pro and Pro Max is rumored to have a variable aperture. This would allow the user to control the f-stop, or the size of the lens aperture, dictating how much light actually hits the sensor. Now, you could use this for exposure techniques or changing the depth of field, but basically it's giving you even more control on how your photos and videos look. The 18 Pro is also rumored to come with a new 3-layer stacked image sensor that can increase the dynamic range and have even better low light performance. So overall, the camera system just seems to be improving, which is what we expect every year. Now, even though there won't be an iPhone 18, the iPhone 18 Pro and Pro Max won't be the only new iPhones at this event, because rumors all but seem to confirm that Apple is launching a brand new iPhone model that we have never seen before. An iPhone model that is even more premium and, yeah, more expensive. The iPhone Ultra. The iPhone Ultra will be Apple's first foldable phone, and based on the leaks and rumors so far, it is going to get quite a weird design. Because after 7 iterations of the Galaxy Z Fold, Apple is not taking notes from Samsung. They are going with their own unique design that their competitors are already copying based on the rumors, which is a book-style foldable. Just look at these renders. Based on the leaks, the iPhone Ultra has a very short and square form factor. It does not look like a modern-day phone when it's folded up. It actually looks more like the older iPhone 1 through iPhone 4 designs, and that's because those designs used a 4:3 aspect ratio, giving you a wider screen rather than a narrow screen that we see on modern day phones. And on the outside, the Ultra screen leans more towards that smaller form factor with only a 5.4-inch display. However, this has two benefits. Folded up, the iPhone Ultra is more compact, making it easier to use one-handed, and even with the smaller front display, it should be easier to type on because it is wider. But the real reason Apple's using this design is because they are prioritizing the unfolded experience. When you open up the OLED display, you will get a 7.8-inch screen with a 4:3 aspect ratio. Basically, this will transform the iPhone Ultra to about the same size and dimensions as Apple's iPad mini. This 4:3 screen will be better optimized for watching video, but also better optimized for Apple's software because the iPad software is already made for that wider aspect ratio, meaning you will likely see regular iPad apps working on the iPhone Ultra day one without much optimization from software developers, and that is going to be a big benefit for Apple's foldable phone. They are going to have a lot of native software on this device, whereas with a lot of the Android foldables, still to this day, most of the apps are not optimized for larger foldable displays. It also means that Apple can use a similar multitasking system like they already do on iPadOS, so you can have multiple apps open on the bigger inner screen. But because the iPhone Ultra is around 4.5 millimeters thin when unfolded, it will lead to some compromises. Namely, the design is too thin to incorporate the advanced Face ID sensors. So Apple will have to switch back to the old Touch ID sensor, which rumors say will be placed in the power button, just like it is on the iPad mini, so that's what you'll use to unlock the device. The Ultra will also only have 2 rear cameras, a main wide-angle and ultra-wide-angle lens at 48 megapixels, and then there will be 2 front-facing cameras, the one on the outer display and then one on the inner display. Other than that, it will have a lot of the same components as the iPhone 18 Pro, so the same A20 Pro chip, the same C2 cellular modem. However, the battery life could outshine the Pro model because it's rumored to have the biggest battery ever put in an iPhone at 5,800 milliamp hours. Overall, this phone will be the most premium iPhone option, made with the same titanium material as the current iPhone Air, focused on keeping it durable, but also very thin when unfolded. And that premium design and foldable OLED display come with a big price tag. Most rumors seem to indicate that the price for the iPhone Ultra is set at I don't even want to say it. It's set at $2,000, making it the most expensive iPhone model ever released. Actually, one of the most expensive phones ever released. And with rumored supply chain issues and larger manufacturing defects than normal, this phone will also be in a more limited supply than we are used to with iPhone launches. So limited, in fact, that Apple apparently is only making 2 color options, black or white. So this is going to lead to a limited and expensive iPhone lineup. Probably the most expensive and limited we have ever seen from Apple, with no options for a new, cheaper iPhone 18 model until 2027. And that is a huge risk. The quarters following a new iPhone launch, the sales quarters, are the biggest ones for Apple. Without the sales of a normal iPhone model, especially given how popular the iPhone 17 was, and with the unproven sales of a new iPhone model, the iPhone Ultra, that could lead to a disaster and a panic from investors if sales from the Ultra don't make up for the lack of a normal iPhone 18. It could also show weakness from Apple's new CEO if his first big new product launch isn't a hit. But also, it makes the September iPhone launch a lot more exciting and a lot more interesting than it has been in the past, because Apple isn't following the same playbook that they usually do. And I am curious to see if Apple can bring innovation into the foldable smartphone space all these years later. But let me know, what do you think about this risk of Apple launching 2 expensive iPhone models at the same time? Do you think this is going to be a success? Or do you think we are going to look back at this as a moment of a failure from Apple? Really interested to hear your thoughts on this. As always, if you like the video, give me a like. If you want to see more, make sure you're subscribed. And as always, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.